Welcome, age of vintage society. Lana Turner had an acting ability that belied the sweater girl image MGM thrust upon her, and even many of her directors admitted that they knew she was capable of greatness, like in The Postman Always Rings Twice. Unfortunately, her private life sometimes overshadowed her professional accomplishments. Why did Lana Turner's boyfriend want to shoot Sean Connery? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Although old Hollywood legends and royal princesses alike may have been revered for their enviable style and penchant for luxury, they also grappled with troubled upbringings and tumultuous relationships throughout their lifetimes. Before there was Marilyn Monroe, there was Lana Turner, the sweater girl, queen of the silver screen, Lanita, nightclub queen. Lana Turner was known by many nicknames after her rise to fame, most of which she detested. She is one of the most beautiful actresses ever to grace the silver screen. Her career spanned half a century, and she starred in many unforgettable movies. But for all the success she had on screen, she suffered through much personal tragedy off-screen. Lana Turner enjoyed tremendous success in the movie industry and became one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but her highs on screen were matched by devastating lows off-screen. Lana Turner has come to epitomise the concept of the classical Hollywood movie star. She is identified with glamour, artifice and excess. The last is not only associated with her on-screen image, but also with her off-screen identity. In fact, numerous critics have suggested that Turner's off-screen activities are her primary claim to fame. Aside from the many marriages, the most spectacular instance of her notoriety was the 1958 killing of Turner's gangster lover by her teenage daughter. The incident catapulted Turner into the realm of celebrity status, and it is this distinction that gives her star image a strong contemporary edge. The situation, indeed, and coverage has been only recently surpassed by the media's responses to O.J. Simpson and the double murder. That scandal has become incorporated into the culture was evidenced by Woody Allen's September, which features a famous actress and her daughter who, as a teenager, allegedly killed the mother's lover. Lana Turner never looks the same. I've seen her in hundreds of pictures and dozens of films, and each time she looks a slightly different person. Turner was a chameleon and Hollywood-made confection, a liar, a victim, and real-life femme fatale, party to one of the most infamous and tragic Hollywood scandals. Her image combined sex appeal and vulnerability, both imbued with a sense of danger. At the height of her career, Turner seemed a beautiful yet wounded animal, ready to lash out. Lana Turner rose from her humble beginnings in rural Idaho to the heights of Hollywood superstardom, but no amount of fame could save her from tragedy, from her torrid affairs to the infamous act of violence that landed her in the gossip papers for decades. Lana Turner truly had a Hollywood rags-to-riches story. She was born as Julia Jean Turner on the 8th of February 1921 in Wallace, Idaho. As a little girl, her parents called her Judy. She was the beloved only child of John Virgil Turner and Mildred Frances Cowan, who both came from sturdy Midwest mining stock. John was a miner and Mildred was a mining inspector's daughter. Her mother would also model clothes at the fashion shows at the Elks Club. Later on she worked as a beautician. The adult Turner's heavy-lidded silver screen glamour was a far cry from the dust and dirt of her childhood. Even while her father was getting his hands dirty in the local silver mines, little Lana was practically begging her parents to enroll her in acting classes. Soon after moving, her parents separated, and her father was killed in an unsolved murder-robbery in 1930. Her mother developed health problems and moved, with 10-year-old Lana, to Los Angeles. Her mother was very poor during this time and worked 80 hours a week as a beautician to support their small family. Lana Turner's discovery in a Hollywood drugstore is show business legend. At 16, Lana was skipping class to buy a soda at a malt shop when she was spotted by William R. Wilkerson, publisher of The Hollywood Reporter. He spotted her while she was wearing a tight sweater, daintily licking an ice cream cone, and asked if she'd like to be in pictures, to which she replied, "I'll have to ask my mother." Despite her reputation as a sexy ingenue in film, as a child Turner became fascinated with Roman Catholicism and even had dreams of becoming a nun. He was taken with the 16-year-old girl's beauty and referred her to Zeppo Marx, who at this point was a major agent. Zeppo hooked her up with Mervyn LeRoy, and history was made. The agency immediately signed her on and cast her in her first film, They Won't Forget, in 1937. After her unforgettable debut, Turner quickly became the it girl in Hollywood. It was in a scene in They Won't Forget that Lana earned the nickname the Sweater Girl, which Lana detested throughout her career. She played an oversexed schoolgirl, which Turner later described as a thing who wore a tight sweater and her breasts bounced as she walked, a tight skirt and her buttocks bounced. She moved sinuously, undulating fore and aft. She was the motive for the entire picture. The tight sweater she had worn in the film prompted studio publicists to promote her as the Sweater Girl, and the sexy photographs she posed for were in great demand. American servicemen later made her one of their favourite pin-ups during World War II. Fighter pilots painted her image on the noses of their planes, and when she went on a tour selling war bonds, she became a hot ticket item when she promised kisses in exchange for high bids. In one instance, she sold a mere 2 kisses for a whopping $5,000 in bonds. In 1937, she signed a contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer for $100 a week and graduated from high school between filming. Her next starring role was opposite Mickey Rooney in the film Love Finds Andy Hardy in 1938. Unlike Judy Garland and Shirley Temple, Lana Turner was not the innocent type and was a well-known party girl. Sure, being a party girl in Hollywood isn't a stigma today, but party girls had a bad reputation in the 1930s, and Turner was dubbed the nightclub queen. Despite Louis B. Mayer's concern, Turner was going to enjoy life to the fullest, including men. In 1946, Turner got her first truly serious and critically acclaimed role in the film noir The Postman Always Rings Twice. The movie launched her transition from sex kitten to femme fatale, and Turner appreciated actually having something to do, since she was understandably sick of films where all she did was walk across the screen and look pretty. If scandal is an aspect of Turner's contemporary identity, another is a very specific filmic image. The image, Turner dressed in white shorts and halter and wearing a turban, is taken from The Postman Always Rings Twice, which, in addition to connecting Turner to an illicit lover and murder, presents the actress at her most sexual. It is fitting that she is summed up in a static image, since Turner's identity is not associated strongly with performing or a distinctive personality. Turner's image as a celebrity is probably reinforced by her films, which, on the whole, are not distinguished. Nevertheless, it would be inaccurate to claim that her film career is negligible. Turner, in addition to having an ability to project sexual desire, cultivated a very feminine identity, to the extent that her presence, in terms of grooming and gesture, suggested artifice. But Turner is not a passive on-screen presence. Rather, she tends to play women who struggle and refuse to settle for less than what can be had. These characterizations suggest a woman who is desperate and, therefore, reckless. Yet Turner's behaviour is often constrained, and she, unlike actresses such as Joan Crawford, seems incapable of fully challenging or overriding gender and, in numerous instances, class dictates. Arguably, this happens because she is too fully aligned to femininity, hence a socially controlled identity. Turner's skill resides in her ability to articulate her situation and the insecurities it produces. Beneath the somewhat glacial and carefully constructed exterior image, there is a person who is anxious, fearful, and needs help. It is perhaps this tension which contributes to her appeal, as it foregrounds the conflicting responses women experience under patriarchy. Turner's star image is tightly bound to her sexuality, Such films as The Prodigal and Diane, in which Turner is paired with weak male co-stars and virtually carries the films herself, suggest that it is her sexual desire that makes her an exciting and transgressive figure. Even in her day, Lana Turner was considered one of the most glamorous film stars of all time. She herself once said in an interview, "Forsaking glamour is like forsaking my identity." Lana Turner and silver screen heartthrob Cary Grant starred in so many successful pictures together, the press dubbed them the team that generates steam. She was one of the biggest stars to grace the silver screen. Not only was she glamorous and classy, but she was elegant, and was regarded as Hollywood's sex symbol. Turner later confessed to hating the title. Despite the glamour, Turner faced many pitfalls throughout her career, mainly in her love life. The studio sold her as all-American and wholesome, and her roles, youth and blondness all seemed to match. But in 1940 she began compromising that image. She reportedly had affairs with many of her co-stars. Instead of a nice courtship with, say, Andy Hardy or Mickey Rooney, Turner went on a date with Artie Shaw, the most popular big band leader of the era, and a man 11 years her senior, and up and got married. They fought, Turner got supposedly pregnant, he denied the baby was his, she had an abortion, and they divorced, all within 4 months. Turner was married no fewer than 8 times, though one was a double trip down the aisle. Restaurateur Stephen Crane, father of her one child, a daughter named Cheryl Crane. Her husbands also included a roster of millionaires, actor Lex Barker, who played Tarzan, rancher Fred May, and even a nightclub hypnotist. Turner was long rumoured to have hooked up with Frank Sinatra. There is no hard admission or evidence of that, though she did admit affairs with Howard Hughes and Tyrone Power. Throughout her numerous marriages and dalliances, Turner only considered one man the love of her life, actor Tyrone Power. This on-screen emphasis on sex was mirrored off-screen through the marriages and the affairs, yet Turner's off-screen identity was mediated by an emphasis on her as a woman who wanted a lasting marriage, who was a good mother, and who was serious about her career. And Sean Connery is another possible bedpost notch. Lana Turner and Sean Connery in 1957, the year they made the film Another Time, Another Place. At the time she was dating an abusive mobster named Johnny Stompanato. While shooting the movie, Connery famously punched out Turner's mobster boyfriend when the latter stormed onto the set and pulled a gun on the actor. The darkest event in Turner's life, however, began in 1957, when she embarked on her relationship with Stompanato. That situation quickly deteriorated into controlling and abusive behaviour, the tawdry saga climaxing on the night of April 4th, 1958. When Cheryl, then a young teen, saw Stompanato striking her mother, she came at the mobster and attacked him with a kitchen knife. He died, and the highly publicised trial ended in a verdict of justifiable homicide. The trial was a sensation, dominating the entertainment press at the time. Turner gave evidence, breaking down in tears several times, then went out to meet the press, where she promptly fainted. More drama muddied the waters, with someone in the court gallery shouting out, "Lies, all lies." The mother and daughter were both in love with Stompano. This was less likely, as Cheryl herself tells of coming out as a lesbian to her parents by the age of 13, a story she recounted to Larry King. She also related that, ahead of her time, her parents were very supportive of her in this. Turner wasn't pitiable like Judy Garland, wasn't strong like Joan Crawford, wasn't childish like Marilyn Monroe. Rather, she was dangerous in a way that few other female stars seemed dangerous. She was never aggressive, per se, but she was manipulative, able through her beauty and sexual appeal to get others to do what she wanted, on and off the screen. That sort of power destroys, especially when wielded indiscriminately. Turner suffered through many personal tragedies and failed marriages in her quest to find happiness. She also struggled for a long period with alcoholism and smoking, both of which led to the throat cancer that would take her life. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Now it is your turn. What do you think about the life and legacy of Lana Turner? The beautiful actress graduated from what she called pretty parts in early years to real nitty-gritty acting with her later performances.